Most people want to grow, to improve, to become the best version of themselves, but they're stuck. They chase quick fixes, look for shortcuts, and wonder why nothing changes. The truth is, personal growth isn't about finding the perfect strategy or waiting for motivation to strike. It's about mastering your mind, building resilience, and learning to thrive even when things get tough. The path to self-improvement isn't complicated. It's about adopting timeless principles that have guided the strongest minds for centuries. And today, I'm going to share with you the Stoic approach to personal growth. Practical, proven strategies that will help you strengthen your mind and elevate your life. Mastering emotional control is the foundation of personal growth. It's easy to let emotions dictate your actions, to let anger, fear, or frustration control how you respond to life's challenges. But true strength comes from the ability to remain calm and centered no matter what's happening around you. Life is unpredictable. People will disappoint you, plans will fail, and things will go wrong. That's just reality. But how you react to those situations, that's entirely within your control. That's where the real power lies. Most people think strength is about fighting back, about proving themselves right, about dominating others. But the truth is, strength is about restraint. It's about the ability to stand in the middle of chaos and remain unshaken. When you control your emotions, you control the outcome. Think about the last time someone said something that triggered you. Maybe it was a criticism, maybe it was a betrayal, or maybe it was just someone being rude for no reason. Your immediate reaction might have been to lash out, to defend yourself, to fight back. That's human nature. But that's also weakness in disguise, because when you react emotionally, you give away your power. You let someone else control you. They press a button and you dance. That's not strength. That's surrender. Real strength comes from stepping back, taking a breath, and realizing that you don't have to react. You can choose calm over chaos. You can choose peace over conflict. You can choose to walk away without letting it touch your peace of mind. That's emotional mastery. It's not about suppressing your emotions or pretending you don't feel anything. It's about recognizing them, understanding them, and not letting them control you. Anger isn't the problem. Acting out of anger is. Fear isn't the problem. Letting fear dictate your choices is. Sadness isn't the problem. Getting stuck in it and refusing to move forward is. You can feel these emotions without being controlled by them. That's the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is impulsive, responding is intentional, and the more you learn to respond instead of react, the more control you gain over your life. Emotional control isn't something you achieve overnight. It's a practice. It's built through daily moments of awareness. The next time you feel anger rising, stop. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Most of the time, it isn't. When someone criticizes you, you don't have to defend yourself. Let them think what they want. When someone insults you, you don't have to fight back. Let them reveal their own character through their words. When plans fall apart, you don't have to panic. Accept what's happened, adjust, and move forward. That's power. That's control. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally disciplined. When you let go of the need to react to every slight, to defend every criticism, to prove yourself at every turn, you free yourself. Most people are controlled by their emotions. They let anger make their decisions. They let fear hold them back. They let jealousy poison their relationships. That's why most people are miserable. But you don't have to live like that. You have a choice. The key to emotional control is detachment. Not detachment from life or from people, but detachment from the need for things to go your way. The need for validation, the need to always be right, the need for others to treat you a certain way. When you release those expectations, you release the power they have over you. You stop being controlled by things you can't control. If someone doesn't like you, that's their problem. If someone betrays you, that's a reflection of them, not you. If something doesn't go according to plan, it's not a personal failure. It's just life unfolding the way it's meant to. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm and instead of being tossed around by the wind, calm, focused. The storm rages around you, but it doesn't touch you. That's emotional control. That's strength. And that's what allows you to grow. Because when you stop wasting energy on things you can't control, you gain the energy to focus on what you can. You gain clarity, you gain peace. You gain the ability to build the life you want because you're no longer distracted by the noise around you. Most people spend their lives chasing peace. But peace isn't something you find. It's something you create. And you create it by controlling your inner state. The outside world will always be chaotic. There will always be challenges, disappointments and setbacks. But you don't have to mirror that chaos within yourself. You can choose stillness. You can choose calm. That's the power of emotional control. That's the foundation of personal growth. Because when you master your emotions, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, you become unstoppable. Building mental resilience is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. Life is going to test you. It's going to throw obstacles in your path, break your plans, and challenge your patience. That's not negativity, that's reality. But resilience isn't about avoiding these challenges. It's about standing firm in the face of them. It's about having the mental strength to take a hit, to stumble, to fall, and to get back up without losing your sense of purpose. That's what separates people who thrive from those who crumble. It's not about being tougher than life. It's about being more adaptable than the problems that come your way. Most people misunderstand resilience. They think it's about being hard, about shutting down emotions and powering through life without feeling anything. But true resilience isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming flexible. Think of a tree in the middle of a storm. The ones that snap are the rigid ones. The ones that survive are the ones that bend with the wind. That's resilience. It's not weakness to adjust when things don't go as planned. It's strength. It's wisdom. When you're mentally resilient, setbacks don't define you. Failure doesn't stop you. And other people's negativity doesn't weigh you down. You become unshakable, not because life gets easier, but because you've trained yourself to handle whatever life brings. Resilience starts with acceptance. A lot of people resist reality. When things don't go their way, they fight it. They blame others. They get angry. They obsess over how things should have been. But that resistance drains your energy. It makes you bitter. Acceptance isn't about giving up. It's about freeing yourself from that mental struggle. When you accept things as they are, you stop wasting energy on things you can't control. You stop getting stuck in the what-ifs and the if-onlys. You see reality for what it is, and you respond with strength and clarity. Think about a time when life didn't go your way. Maybe it was a failed relationship, a missed opportunity, or an unexpected loss. It's painful. But pain becomes suffering when you refuse to accept it. When you keep replaying it in your mind, when you cling to the idea that things should have been different, that's what creates suffering. But the moment you accept it, that's when you reclaim your strength. That's when you stop feeling like life is happening to you and start realizing that life is happening for you. Because even the setbacks, even the pain, it's shaping you, it's making you stronger. Resilience is built through small moments of strength. When you face a problem, you have a choice. You can either collapse under the weight of it, or you can decide that this moment is an opportunity to grow. That's the mindset shift that separates people who succeed from those who stay stuck. Resilient people don't avoid pain, they walk through it. They don't look for shortcuts. They face the challenge head-on. They know that the discomfort they feel today is building the strength they'll need tomorrow. It's not about being unaffected by life, it's about being unaffected by the noise, the criticism, the setbacks, the opinions of others. They're all just noise. When you're mentally resilient, you don't let those things throw you off course. You stay focused on your path. You trust yourself. You understand that failure isn't personal, it's part of the process. And when you stop taking things personally, you stop feeling like life is working against you. You realize that it's working with you. That every challenge is sharpening you, making you stronger, preparing you for what's next. A lot of people think that resilience means you have to be strong all the time, that you're not allowed to feel tired or discouraged. That's not true. Resilience isn't about never feeling weak. It's about knowing that even when you feel weak, you still have the strength to keep going. There will be moments when you want to give up. That's normal. But resilient people don't let those moments define them. They take a breath, they gather themselves, and they push forward. Even if it's just one small step, that's still progress. One of the most powerful aspects of resilience is the ability to adapt. Life is unpredictable. People change. Plans fall apart. But when you're resilient, you're not thrown off by that. You adjust. You figure out a new path. You don't sit around feeling sorry for yourself. You pivot. You don't waste time trying to make things go back to how they were. You build something better from where you are. That's strength. That's resilience. You also build resilience by letting go of the need to control everything. A lot of stress comes from trying to control things that aren't within your power. Other people's opinions, how situations unfold, whether people treat you fairly. But the moment you release that need for control, you gain freedom. You focus on what you can control, your mindset, your response, your effort. And when you focus on what's in your power, you become unstoppable. Resilience isn't a single decision, it's a habit. It's built in the small moments when you decide to face discomfort instead of avoiding it, when you choose patience instead of frustration, when you stay calm instead of reacting. Every time you make that choice, you're strengthening your foundation. You're becoming the kind of person who can handle whatever life throws at you. That's what resilience looks like. It's quiet, it's steady, it's the strength to rise after every fall and to face every storm, knowing that you'll come out stronger on the other side. Taking responsibility for your life is one of the most liberating and powerful things you can do. A lot of people spend their whole lives blaming others for their problems. They blame their parents for how they were raised, their boss for not recognizing their work, their partner for not understanding them. And while it's true that other people's actions can affect you, the moment you start blaming others for where you are in life, you give away your power. You put the responsibility for your happiness and success in someone else's hands. But here's the truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to make your life better for you. That's your job. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll feel a sense of control over your life. It's easy to blame circumstances when things aren't going well. It's easy to say, if only I had more money, or if only I had a different childhood, or if only I had better opportunities. But focusing on if only keeps you stuck. It puts you in a passive state where you're waiting for life to change instead of realizing that you have the power to change it yourself. Taking responsibility means looking at where you are right now, without excuses, without blaming anyone else, and asking yourself, what can I do to improve this? Because there's always something you can do. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. That's where your power lies, in your response. People who take responsibility for their lives don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. They don't sit around waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect opportunity. They create opportunities. They make the most of what they have, even if it's not ideal. They understand that life isn't fair, but they don't use that as an excuse to stay stuck. They adapt, they adjust, they take the hit and keep moving. And that's why they succeed, because they're not waiting for things to get easier. They're making themselves stronger. Taking responsibility also means owning your mistakes. A lot of people avoid responsibility because they don't want to face the fact that they've made poor decisions. They'd rather blame other people or external circumstances because it's easier than admitting that they made a wrong turn. But here's the thing, making mistakes isn't the problem. Refusing to own those mistakes is the problem. When you take responsibility, you stop making excuses for why things went wrong and you start looking for solutions. You learn from your mistakes instead of running from them. And that's how you grow. That's how you become stronger. When you blame other people for your problems, you give them control over your life. If you think your boss is the reason you're not succeeding, then you've made your success dependent on your boss changing. If you think your past is the reason you can't be happy, then you've made your happiness dependent on something that's already happened, and you can't change the past. But when you take responsibility, you stop waiting for external circumstances to change. You take control of your life as it is, right now. You stop saying, I can't be happy until this person changes, or I can't be successful until things improve. You say, I'm going to figure out how to be happy and successful with what I have right now. That's power. That's strength. Taking responsibility also means setting standards for yourself. It means not accepting less than you know you're capable of. A lot of people settle because it's comfortable. They settle for average effort, average results, average relationships. But when you take responsibility for your life, you stop settling. You start demanding more from yourself. You stop making excuses for why you're not showing up fully in your work, your relationships, your health. You stop saying, I don't have time, or it's too hard. You start finding a way. You start holding yourself accountable. And when you do that, you start seeing real progress. You can't expect other people to push you harder than you're willing to push yourself. You can't expect other people to want success for you more than you want it for yourself. Taking responsibility means deciding that you're going to show up for yourself every single day, even when you don't feel like it. It means deciding that you're going to give your best effort even when no one else is watching. That's how you build strength. That's how you build confidence. Confidence doesn't come from other people praising you. It comes from knowing that you've done the work, that you've put in the effort, that you've shown up for yourself when it mattered. Taking responsibility also means setting boundaries. If people are treating you poorly, it's not their responsibility to stop. It's your responsibility to make it clear what you will and won't tolerate. If you're not happy with how your life looks, it's not up to other people to change. It's up to you to change what you're allowing. Taking responsibility means understanding that you are in control of who you allow into your life, what you give your time and energy to, and what you accept from other people. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow, and when you take responsibility, you stop accepting less than you deserve. One of the most powerful things about taking responsibility is that it shifts you from feeling like a victim to feeling like a creator. When you're blaming other people, you're saying, I have no control over my life. But when you take responsibility, you say, I'm in control of how I respond. I'm in control of what I do next. I'm in control of how I think, how I act, and how I feel. That's freedom. That's power. That's how you change your life, not by waiting for other people to change, but by deciding that you are going to take control of your life no matter what. When you stop making excuses, when you stop blaming other people, when you stop waiting for things to change, that's when real growth begins. That's when you step into your strength. That's when you start to see just how much you're capable of. And that's when your life starts to shift in ways you never thought were possible. Cultivating discipline is one of the most powerful things you can do to create a strong foundation for personal growth. Without discipline, even the best intentions fall apart. Motivation is fleeting, it comes and goes. But discipline is what carries you through when motivation fades. A lot of people think that being disciplined means being hard on yourself, but that's not what it's about. True discipline isn't about punishment. It's about alignment. It's about aligning your actions with your long-term goals, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you don't feel like it. That's what separates people who succeed from people who stay stuck. They don't wait to feel inspired to take action. They take action because they've committed to a higher standard for themselves. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's easy to show up when you feel good, when things are going your way. But real discipline shows up when things get hard. It's waking up early to work on your goals when you'd rather sleep in. It's putting in the extra reps at the gym when your body feels tired. It's sticking to your budget when you'd rather splurge. It's having that difficult conversation instead of avoiding it. Discipline is about doing what needs to be done, even when it's inconvenient. And the more you practice it, the stronger you get. It becomes second nature. But you have to build it through action, through repetition. A lot of people misunderstand discipline. They think it's about forcing yourself to suffer, but it's not. Discipline is about setting boundaries for yourself and sticking to them, because you know it's for your own good. It's like training a muscle. You don't expect to lift heavy weights on your first day at the gym. You start small. You build gradually, and over time you get stronger. Discipline works the same way. You start with small commitments to yourself, waking up on time, staying off social media for an hour, following through on one goal each day. When you stick to those small commitments, you build trust with yourself. You start to believe in your own ability to follow through. And that belief is what makes you unstoppable. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with discipline is that they make it too complicated. They set massive goals, try to overhaul their entire life at once, and then get discouraged when they can't sustain it. That's not discipline. That's self-sabotage. Discipline isn't about doing everything at once. It's about focusing on small, consistent actions. If you want to improve your health, don't try to change your whole diet overnight. Start with drinking more water or walking for 10 minutes a day. If you want to grow in your career, don't try to master every skill at once. Start with dedicating 30 minutes a day to learning something new. Small actions build momentum. And once you build momentum, it's easier to keep going. Another key part of discipline is knowing how to manage your emotions. When you let your feelings dictate your actions, you become inconsistent. One day you feel motivated and you get everything done. The next day you feel tired or frustrated and you give up. But discipline is about separating action from emotion. It's about doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Your feelings are temporary, but your results are permanent. When you allow discipline to lead instead of emotion, you create consistency. You stop riding the emotional roller coaster and you start showing up with stability. That's what builds confidence. Knowing that you can rely on yourself, no matter how you feel. Discipline also means setting clear standards for yourself and sticking to them. It's easy to lower your standards when things get hard. It's easy to say, I'll start tomorrow, or just this once, I'll skip it. But every time you lower your standard, you weaken your foundation. Discipline means holding yourself to a higher level, even when no one else is watching. It means showing up when you promised yourself you would. It means not letting excuses win. When you say, I'm going to work out today, and you follow through, you strengthen your trust in yourself. But when you say it and don't follow through, you weaken that trust. Over time, those small wins, Those moments when you honor your own word build unshakable confidence. Discipline isn't about being perfect, it's about staying committed. You're going to slip up sometimes. You're going to miss a workout. You're going to fall short of a goal. That's normal. But discipline means not letting one bad day turn into a bad week. It means getting back on track quickly. When you miss a day at the gym, you don't say, "Well, I guess I've ruined it now." You say, "I'll show up tomorrow." When you make a poor financial decision, you don't spiral. You adjust and move forward. Discipline is about resilience. It's about staying the course, even when you've been knocked off track. Another important part of discipline is learning to delay gratification. We live in a world where everything is designed for instant rewards. Social media, fast food, online shopping, it's all engineered to give you quick hits of dopamine. But true success comes from being able to say no to short-term pleasure in favor of long-term gain. It's about choosing the discomfort of growth over the comfort of stagnation. It's easy to scroll on your phone for an hour, but discipline is choosing to use that hour to work on your goals. It's easy to reach for junk food, but discipline is choosing to fuel your body with something healthy. Every time you delay gratification, you strengthen your mental toughness. And over time, that strength becomes your superpower. Ultimately, discipline gives you freedom. It might seem like discipline limits you, but it actually creates more space for you to thrive. When you're disciplined with your time, you have more time to focus on what matters. When you're disciplined with your health, you have more energy to pursue your goals. When you're disciplined with your thoughts, you create mental clarity and peace. Discipline isn't about restriction. It's about creating the structure you need to live a life of purpose and meaning. And when you cultivate that kind of discipline, you become unstoppable. You stop waiting for motivation, you stop letting your feelings control you, and you start showing up as the person you know you're capable of becoming. That's where real growth happens. That's where you become powerful. Embracing failure is one of the hardest yet most transformative things you can do on the path to personal growth. Most people are terrified of failure. They avoid it at all costs because they see it as a reflection of their worth, as proof that they aren't good enough. But that's not what failure is. Failure isn't a verdict, it's feedback, it's information, it's life showing you where you need to adjust, where you need to grow. The problem isn't failure itself, it's how you respond to it. When you see failure as a personal attack, it crushes you. But when you see it as a lesson, it empowers you. That shift in perspective changes everything. When you're afraid of failure, you start playing it safe. You stick to what's comfortable, what's familiar. You don't take risks because you don't want to face the possibility of getting it wrong. But growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens at the edge of your limits, where things feel uncomfortable and uncertain. Failure is the cost of progress. You cannot become stronger, wiser, or more resilient without stumbling along the way. Every person who has ever achieved anything meaningful has failed, probably more times than you could imagine. The difference is, they didn't let failure define them. They used it as fuel. They learned from it and kept going. The truth is, failure is a sign that you're in the game. Most people never fail because they never try. They sit on the sidelines, waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan. But perfection is an illusion. If you wait for the perfect moment, you'll be waiting forever. Failure means you're showing up. It means you're pushing yourself beyond what you already know. That's not weakness. That's courage. Most people talk about success like it's a straight line, like you just keep climbing higher and higher, but real success is messy. It's full of wrong turns, dead ends, and setbacks. That's why so many people give up. They hit an obstacle and assume it means they aren't cut out for it. But obstacles are part of the process. Growth happens when you figure out how to navigate those obstacles, when you learn how to get back up after being knocked down. What's really powerful is learning to separate failure from your identity. Failing at something doesn't make you a failure, it just means you tried something that didn't work. That's it. But too often people internalize failure. They make it personal. I failed because I am a failure. That mindset keeps you stuck, because when you believe you're a failure, you stop trying. You think, what's the point? But failure is never final unless you let it be. You can always try again. You can always adjust your approach. When you see failure as an event instead of an identity, it loses its power over you. One of the most valuable things failure teaches you is resilience. Every time you fail and get back up, you're building mental strength. You're proving to yourself that you can handle setbacks. You start to trust yourself more, because you know that even if things don't go the way you planned, you have what it takes to adapt. That kind of confidence doesn't come from success, it comes from struggle. When you face failure head-on and keep going, you become unshakable. You stop being afraid of the outcome because you realize that you can handle whatever happens. That's freedom. Failure also teaches you humility. It reminds you that you're not perfect, and that's a good thing. When you succeed all the time, you can develop an inflated sense of confidence. But failure humbles you. It reminds you that you have more to learn, more room to grow. That humility makes you a better learner, a better leader, and a better person. When you're humble enough to learn from your mistakes, you stop repeating them. You start growing faster because you're not stuck defending your ego. You're focused on improving. Another key lesson failure teaches you is adaptability. When you try something and it doesn't work, you're forced to reassess your approach. You have to figure out why it didn't work and what you need to adjust. That process strengthens your ability to adapt. Life is unpredictable. Things don't always go according to plan. But when you've learned to see failure as feedback, you stop panicking when things go wrong. You become flexible. You adjust your strategy and keep going. That's what makes you resilient. Not that everything works out, but that you know how to handle it when it doesn't. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who know how to recover quickly. They don't dwell on their mistakes. They don't let failure shake their confidence. They analyze what went wrong, they make adjustments, and they try again. That's why they keep winning, because they've built a habit of learning from failure instead of running from it. They've trained themselves to be comfortable with discomfort. That's the mindset that separates people who succeed from people who stay stuck. The truth is, failure is unavoidable. You're going to fail at something at some point. The question isn't whether you'll fail, it's how you'll respond when you do. Will you let it define you, or will you let it shape you? Will you give up, or will you use it to get better? Failure isn't a sign that you're not good enough, it's a sign that you're in the process of becoming better. The only real failure is quitting. As long as you're still trying, you're still in the game, and every time you rise after falling, you become stronger, smarter, and more prepared for what's next. That's how growth works. That's how you build a life of strength and purpose. Cultivating patience and consistency is one of the most overlooked but powerful elements of personal growth. Everyone wants results, and they want them fast. We live in a culture that rewards speed and immediate gratification, instant success, quick fixes, fast progress. But real growth doesn't work like that. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's about showing up every single day, putting in the work even when you don't see immediate results, even when it feels like nothing is happening. That's where most people give up. They don't see progress quickly enough, so they assume they're failing. But progress is often invisible at first. It's happening beneath the surface. in the small, consistent actions that build momentum over time. Patience isn't about sitting back and waiting for things to happen. It's about staying committed even when the results aren't immediate. It's about trusting the process. Most people quit right before the breakthrough. They put in the work for a while, but when they don't see results, they get discouraged and give up. But what if they had held on just a little longer? What if they had stayed consistent for one more day, one more month? That's the difference between success and failure. It's not talent or luck. It's the ability to keep going when it feels like nothing is working. That's where patience comes in. Consistency is about showing up even when you don't feel like it. Motivation is easy when you're feeling inspired, when the energy is high. But that feeling won't last forever. There will be days when you feel tired, when you feel bored, when you question whether it's even worth it. Those are the moments that define your success. Do you keep going, or do you let the discomfort pull you away from your goal? The people who achieve real growth aren't the ones who work hard when it's easy. They're the ones who work hard when it's hard, when no one is watching, when there's no applause. When it's just you and the quiet grind of progress. Patience and consistency require discipline. And discipline isn't about punishment. It's about commitment. It's about doing what you said you were going to do, even when you don't feel like it. When you decide to grow, you're making a promise to yourself. You're saying, I'm going to become better. I'm going to show up for myself every day. That promise matters. When you keep it, you build self-respect. You prove to yourself that you're someone who follows through, and that builds confidence. You start to trust yourself more because you know you're not relying on motivation, you're relying on discipline. The problem is, most people look at consistency as a chore. They think, I have to do this every day. But consistency isn't about perfection, it's about perfectist. It's about doing your best even when it's not perfect. You're not going to hit 100% every day. Some days you'll feel strong, and some days you'll struggle. That's normal. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to keep showing up. When you understand that, you stop beating yourself up for bad days. You stop making every setback a reason to quit. Instead of thinking, I missed a day, I've failed, you think, I missed a day, I'll get back to it tomorrow. That shift in mindset changes everything. Patience also teaches you to embrace the process, not just the outcome. Most people are so focused on the result that they miss the value of the journey. They want to reach the goal, but they don't want to deal with the struggle along the way. But the struggle is where you grow. It's where you build strength and resilience. Every time you push through discomfort, every time you resist the urge to quit, you're becoming mentally tougher. That's why patience matters. It's not just about waiting. It's about developing the strength to keep going even when the path is difficult. Consistency teaches you the value of small wins. Progress isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle. It's the extra push when you're tired, the quiet decision to stay disciplined when no one's watching. It's the small improvements that compound over time. That's why so many people give up. They don't realize how close they are to a breakthrough. They think they're not getting anywhere because the progress isn't obvious. But success is built on small wins. When you stay consistent, those small wins add up. Over time, they create unstoppable momentum. There's also freedom in consistency. When you build habits, when you commit to a process, you remove decision fatigue. You stop overthinking every choice because you already know what you need to do. It becomes automatic, and that gives you mental clarity. You stop wasting energy on deciding what to do, you just do it. That's why the most successful people have routines. They know that consistency creates stability, and stability creates confidence. Patience and consistency are what separate people who talk about growth from people who actually grow. Anyone can start strong. Anyone can be motivated for a week or two, but what happens after that? What happens when the excitement fades, when the progress slows, when it gets hard? That's where most people quit. But the ones who succeed are the ones who stay consistent, the ones who trust the process even when they can't see the result yet. That's where real strength comes from. Patience is knowing that success takes time. Consistency is showing up until it happens. Together they create the foundation for personal growth. Without them, you'll keep starting over. You'll keep getting stuck in cycles of motivation and burnout. But when you learn to trust the process, when you commit to showing up every day, you become unstoppable. You stop needing quick wins because you know that success is inevitable if you stay consistent. That's the mindset that leads to lasting growth. That's how you build a life of strength and purpose. Growth isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. It's about showing up, facing discomfort, and trusting the process even when you don't see immediate results. If you can master these Stoic principles, you'll build a foundation of strength and clarity that will carry you through any challenge. True personal growth begins when you stop seeking quick wins and start embracing the process.